What's going on, guys? It is Aiden Hutchinson.
What's up, man? It's your boy Amon-Ra St. Brown.
What's up, everybody? It's Calvin Johnson Jr. here, a.k.a. Megatron, a.k.a. First Ballot.
What's going on, Coach Dan at Lions Talk Live and the Duke Crew? This is Ball Hawk Ifeatu Melifonwu of the Detroit Lions. Everybody make sure you help support the YouTube channel Lions Talk Live by clicking that like and subscribe button. Let's get it and go Detroit.
Greetings and salutations to everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Dan Skipper, offensive weapon for the Detroit Lions. Make sure you all help support Lions Talk Live and Coach Dan by clicking on that like and subscribe button. Everybody, woo!
Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I am your host once again, Dan Thornton, and I want to thank you all for joining me here today. Hey, Lions Talk Live. It is a icy Thursday outside. If you're living in Southwest Michigan, you're under about a tenth of an inch of ice out there, from what I'm told. And yes, indeed, if you can stay off the roads, I already know a lot of people have been posting videos, pictures of whatever about accidents, pileups, etc. So if you don't have to go outside and you're in Southwest Michigan, maybe northern Indiana, you might want to avoid it. All right, while the weather outside may be frightful, let me tell you, the Lions chatter is so delightful. So we're going to dive into it. As you can probably tell from the main topic of the day, Lions, it appears, have 5 suggested trade options not named Myles Garrett out there. So we're going to dive into that, what they may cost, and if these are basically better ideas for Brad Holmes and the Detroit Lions, and we'll get your opinions on it. After all, the Duke Crew rules, everybody else drools. So we'll dive into that. Real quick, though, before we get into that and the 5 headlines now, all that stuff, and maybe even future weather reports from people out on the scenes, let's get into it. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. We are 18 subs away from 13,100. So if you can help out with that, that would be most welcome and great. Also, if you have half second of time, reach on down, hit that thumbs up button, the like button, whatever you want to call it button. We try to get you every video to 200-300 or more for the thumbs up or likes. So if you can assist with that, that would be most welcome. Last but never least, if you are considering, or maybe just bored, or just maybe like reading, whatever it is, go ahead and go to Amazon.com. Check out this historical fiction novel. You can find it in other places too, not just Amazon, wherever you find good reading literature, and order Kajora book. It is the first of a 9-part series. The second book will release later this year. Go ahead and check it out. If you like Native American and Japanese cultures, mythology, religion, the whole shebang, check it out. And if you like it, leave a kind review. Okay, with all that done and out of the way, let's get this show a rocking and a rolling and a going and head on over to the first segment, which is 5 headlines now. Yeah, I think the morning drive to go get a morning Mountain Dew might be a little bit dicey and icy. So, all right, 5 headlines now coming at you. Lions don't need to spend big to win the Super Bowl. This is from SI.com. Story by Vito Chirito with this one. Vito thinks that the Lions are a lot closer to win the Super Bowl than most of us really anticipate and talk about. That the Lions are already pretty stacked. Yes, if you're an optimistic Lions fan, you look at what happened this year, you say, man, we barely had a defense on the field with all the injuries, and we still won 15 games, still got the number 1 seed, still won the NFC North. What would have happened if we weren't so beat up and decimated by injuries? I think if you're a positive Pete Lions fan, you're probably saying you're playing this weekend in the Super Bowl. So with Vito's story, he analyzes that the Lions basically have one of the most complete franchises in the NFL, starting from the top on down, starting from ownerships, the front office, scouting department, etc. Do they really need to make massive, big grabs for someone like Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, etc.? In his opinion, no. He thinks the Lions should just play the course, do what they've been doing, continue to add and develop through the draft, and a couple of selective free agents. He is not specific which free agents should go after, but he does point out that the Lions have some nice young talent, especially on defense. He does point out last year's draft class and how good it may ultimately end up being between Terrion Arnold, Rakestraw, Christian Mahogany, amongst others he lists. To my personal opinion, I don't think he's that wrong with this story. I think the Lions have some cap space. They want to go sign one or two key people in free agency. Probably we all get it. It would be somebody who has some sort of injury history or maybe a little bit older that isn't going to break the bank. That does seem like the Brad Holmes way. Could the Lions just simply continue to add depth to the draft and free agency and make it to the Super Bowl? I think that is a possibility for sure. Might not be what I would do, but I could see the Lions doing it. Next story in the 5 headlines now. Lions named a top potential landing spot for this $16.5 million linebacker. Story by John Varejao of Athlon Sports. And I had when I first got this story across the board yesterday, getting it ready for today's show or late last night, I was like, man, who the heck are they thinking about? He says that the Lions have already been listed as potential trade destinations for Myles Garrett. We all get that. Cooper Kupp and Max Crosby. But he thinks the Lions might just be able to go in free agency potentially and get a big answer for their problems. This person had 92 tackles as a rookie and then followed up with 86 in 13 games this third year in the league. Saw him miss most of the season with injury, but he came back strong in year 4. The person is Dre Greenlaw from the 49ers, 127 tackles and forced a pair of fumbles in his 4th season, which earned him a 2-year contract worth $16.4 million. His first year in the new contract was another successful season where he made 120 tackles with 5 for loss. Unfortunately, that season ended with a torn Achilles tendon. So could Greenlaw be someone the Lions go after and try to get? I guess we'll have to wait and see, but we've been mentioning the Lions trying to add to their linebacker depth. Adding this particular player, Greenlaw, would be a nice get for the Detroit Lions. All right, David Montgomery is eager to tackle this offseason and life without Ben Johnson. Story by Laura Lampert of Fanside. And I think if you guys have an opportunity, you saw a lot of the Lions players on press row talking to the media, talking about this topic, that topic. You knew it was going to come up. One of the big topics was, how is life going to be for the Detroit Lions without Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn? Will they be able to make the right changes and fast enough to stay relevant in the NFC, let alone the NFC North, etc.? I think so. But if you ask, if you go ahead and ask David Montgomery, he's going to tell you, as he did on press row yesterday, he thinks the Lions are going to be just fine. He thinks the Lions ultimately have the players to make any system work. I've coached for a long time, and here's what I tell you. There's a lot of good things about X's and O's, but at the end of the day, if you don't have the people that can make those plays happen, it doesn't ultimately matter. I would throw this to you guys on offense, and I'm not going to speak about defense yet, but just on the offense, I would think you would have to be a complete moron as an OC to not be able to get something out of this offense. Now, can you be Ben Johnson? Are you going to have all the trick plays? I guess we could debate that until we see what happens and goes on the field with the Detroit Lions next season. I do think Morton and amongst others are going to play a big role in this offense maintaining. I'm not going to say they're going to be better. I'm not going to say they're going to be worse. I just think they're going to hold course. I think Goff is hitting the prime of his career. I think this offensive line, especially if we re-sign Zeitler, is going to be better than last year's line. The receiving core, Jameson Williams, I felt like the last 10 games of the prior season of last year played real well. Amon-Ra St. Brown, you know what you're getting out of him. Same with Sam Laporta. I think the Lions offense is going to be pretty dang good, and Dave Montgomery's probably right that life is going to be pretty good for the Detroit Lions next year, and they can't wait. I think that's the other thing we need to analyze too, is I think that a lot of the players want to prove that it wasn't just one guy's X and O's play calling. It was them making it work. You know what? Here's their opportunity. All right, speaking of press roll junkets and pressers, etc. this week, Steve Spagnuolo, that's the Kansas City defensive coordinator, long-time coach in the NFL, been a head coach, been a great defense coordinator, spoke about Lions' Kelvin Shepard will be a head coach in this league. USA Today, story by Ryan Love with this one. No relation to Jordan, by the way. And I think he's got real good insights. Spags knows defense. I think anybody who's watched him, even from a distance, no matter which team he's been with, would say this. His defenses usually do pretty dang well. Shepard played for Spags, really got to know each other pretty well. He's helped groom him. He's apparently given him lots of insights already about what life as a defensive coordinator is going to be. So the fact that someone like Spags is out there trying to help develop and grow Kelvin Shepard, it's not a bad thing. Shepard spent a couple seasons under Aaron Glenn learning and trying to speed up his maturation process to become a defensive coordinator. And I personally believe that Spags is spot on with this. Shepard's going to shine. It's probably going to be a couple years, but in 2-3 years, if he really does well as the defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, you're going to see teams come calling on him. And I get it. You become successful in this league, people are going to want to hire you. All right. Last of the 5 headlines now. We've got this one from the Free Press. Oops, there you go. We asked Myles Garrett at Super Bowl 2025 about potential Detroit Lions trade. Story by Dave Burkett of the Free Press. I know some people got with this yesterday. I couldn't get back on the mic yesterday because after practice, I went over and watched. There's a kid, not a kid anymore, but a person I used to coach is now a collegiate head coach. They were coaching a game here in town. I went and supported them and talked to them. Plus, there was a player on the opposing team that I used to coach, so I wanted to just go out and say hi to everybody. But yesterday, the Freep did talk to Myles Garrett, sorta, as he went by press row. Talked to him real quick. Just asked him, hey, what do you think about potentially becoming a Detroit Lion? And, while he was not kind of really committal, did offer a couple word answers and just said, not really, and then not yet, as far as being ready to become a Detroit Lion. So I think we all get it. We talked about it yesterday. There are a lot of NFL insiders talking on, ESPN, talking about Rich Eisen or whoever else's show out there, saying that the Detroit Lions are an ideal landing spot, if not the most ideal landing spot for MG. MG would add a whole lot to this team. We all would appreciate him being here, but at what cost to the Detroit Lions? Well, this is going to tie directly into the main topic of the day. Most of you guys watching the comments yesterday and the day before that would agree. Myles Garrett is a generational talent, probably first ballot Hall of Famer, would absolutely crush it opposite Aiden Hutchinson, along with this Detroit Lions defensive line. Perhaps would be the most feared front four in the NFL. At least it would be definitely in the conversation for the number one defensive line in the NFL. But we all get it that the Browns are probably going to want a couple first-round picks or a very major haul to acquire them. Is that something Brad Holmes realistically seems like he's the guy that's going to do? I guess we'll find out what happens this offseason. But with all this said and done, and now let's head over into the main topic today because they do correlate with each other and get on into that. So 1 second, please. All right, main topic of the day. We have developed a list, perhaps in correlation with a couple stories that came out yesterday, about 5 potential trade targets the Lions could go out and acquire. Yes, I know some of you guys have mentioned Khalil Mack. He's a free agent. Could you go out and get him? Absolutely. And I wouldn't be opposed to it. 1-year deal or something like that. Have him, Zadarius Smith, opposite Aiden Hutchinson, a rotational piece. Maybe add the 28th pick overall as another young, developmental guy out there. I know Mike Green, and Jack Sawyer, and probably 40 other guys we haven't yet mentioned would be potential options for the Lions at the 28th overall pick. Let's assume that all holds water, though. We're going to get into this list. You guys can have your thoughts. Do crew, throw your thoughts in the comment section when we go through this list. But I want to be thankful and give a full shout out to both ESPN, USA Today, Touchdown Wire for helping compile this list. And there might have been a fourth source too. So I went to each of these different articles as far as trade options for the Lions. And a couple of them even offered some potential ideas on what the compensation would be. Now, we'll go through this list. You guys let me know if these options seem like more of a Brad Holmes type move or if you think Myles Garrett or somebody else really is the way to go. All right, first on the list is going to be Joey Bosa of the Los Angeles Chargers. I got to make sure I don't say San Diego Chargers. But you guys get it. He is age 30. His cap hit next year is going to be $36 million. Now, could that be reworked a little bit before trade or whatever? Yes. The ideal trade compensation or suggested, maybe that's a better way to word it, would be a 2025 fifth-round pick. That seems a little light to me, but when you go back and look at his age, the cap hit, etc., and prior trades that would be ideal, or at least comparable, that probably isn't that far off. Could it be a fourth? Could it be a fifth? Could it be a sixth? Sure, somewhere in that range. But let's also say this about Bosa. His career trajectory is kind of started trending down a little bit in recent years. Some of it's injuries, some of it's, Father Time is undefeated. Once considered one of the league's most elite pass rushers, injuries have derailed his production. He played in just 11 games in 22, 7 games in 23, leaving many to wonder if he'll ever regain his prior form. So if the Lions were to go out after him, I think the idea would be he, could be a starter, but he's going to be more of a rotational guy. Again, with Zadarius Smith, could you bring in Khalil Mack and re-emerge the Chargers pass rush of the last few years? Sure. But we'll have to see if they go that way. Who could you pair him with also in the draft? I guess you guys could throw that out there too, because with the draft, again, you're probably using Joey Bosa if you get him on a year or two deal. Probably nothing long-term beyond that, because unfortunately he is starting to show physically signs of fatigue. Here's the next one I think would be most interesting, and I wouldn't be opposed to it. Jeffrey Simmons of the Tennessee Titans. Now, 2025, his cap hit is $22 million. He is age 28, so a little bit younger. The compensation for him is going to be a little bit more, but let's play it out. It is being suggested that you would give up a 2026 third-round pick. On top of that, you would give up a 2025 third-round pick. So I guess if you want to Scooby-Doo this, you could say you're trading Aaron Glenn for Jeffrey Simmons, because you'd give up both of those first third-round picks, that you gave or gained from Aaron Glenn. I would be really, really okay with this trade. Now, to be fair, though, Simmons has come out and stated that he wants to remain with the Titans. But Tennessee, as we all probably understand, they're in rebuild mode. By the time they probably get the ship right, it'd be 2-3 seasons from now. So now he's a 31-year-old guy. The ship for Jeffrey Simmons is taking on a lot of water at that point because, hey, let's be fair, most defensive linemen, especially defensive tackles, etc., are big ends, don't do well once they get into their 30s, or there's a significant difference. There's only so many Calais Campbells out there that play until basically 40 and do it at a fairly high level. Could he be a trade option for the Lions? I actually think so. And again, if it is a couple thirds, I wouldn't have a problem with it. The cap hit, while not ideal, is not over the top egregious. See what shakes out. But let me know your thoughts on the comment section. Hey, how about this? Bosa, why or no? Yes or no. Simmons or Jeffrey, yes or no, why or no. And then the third one, this one, there's no way you're getting around this speculation all off season. Just like with Myles Garrett, Max Crosby's name is going to be tied to the Detroit Lions because it would be an ideal fit, because he played at EMU, because he's from Michigan, because he grew up a Lions fan. We all get it. He's all over the place. Now, here's the interesting thing. Going to 3 different reports on this, the trade compensation is not exactly what I think you, me, or everybody in between would imagine. Is cap hit, let's start with that, $27 million in 2025. I think the Lions can Scooby-Doo enough things to make that happen. I'd probably go knocking on Goff's door and say, hey, you want him here? You're going to have to give up some of that cheddar on your contract. He's 27, so he's the youngest of the guys listed so far. And here's the crazy part. The trade compensation. I didn't come up with this, so don't shoot me in the comments section. This is just what the couple different reports had suggested. A 2025 third-round pick, a 2025 fifth-round pick, and then a 2026 fourth-round pick. I'll throw this at you. If the Lions can make that happen for that suggested price, I'd sign the check right now and say, hey, welcome to Detroit, Max Crosby. I don't think it's going to be that light. I don't think it's going to be multiple first-round picks for him. I think the NFL history in recent years would suggest it's not a couple first for Max Crosby. I do think it could be a first. I do think it could be a first and like a third or a fourth or something like that. I just don't see any way, shape, and form it's a third, a fifth, and, like I said, a 2026 sixth. But Max Crosby is, we all get it, one of the most dominant pass rushers in the league. He's publicly, in some regards, supported the team and the new head coach. He's also thrown out enough stuff in the last year, 12 months, where you could say, man, he's kind of talking out both sides of his mouth, wants out there, doesn't want to be a part of a rebuild, and yet that's all he's facing is a rebuild there with the Raiders. So, Is this really a realistic scenario? I think not, at least not at what is being recommended as the trade compensation for the Raiders. So we'll wait and see. Now, the next one, hey, we had a Lions insider from Detroit-based media throw this one at us yesterday, and I think it's spot on. If you're asking me, this is what I'm doing here. If I'm making a trade, it's not Myles Garrett. It's not Max Crosby. Maybe you look at some of those other ones we just listed that weren't Crosby, but it would be Trey Hendrickson. Now, Hendrickson, as you guys already know, he's 31 years old. I believe he's going to be 32 by the time the season starts. Cap hit for 2025, $18 million. That's pretty dang affordable. Trade compensation, the suggested trade compensation is a 2025 fifth-round pick. I'd take that in a heartbeat, and you know what? I'd probably throw him a seventh-round pick and say, here's a seventh-round pick in 3020. Go ahead and take it free of charge. Trey Hendrickson is the oldest player on this list, but he remains one of the most underrated pass rushers in the NFL. He has posted double-digit sacks in 3 consecutive seasons, proving he can still get to the quarterback. The Bengals are in a tight, and I mean tight, salary cap situation, especially if they want to re-sign Trey Hendrickson, T. Higgins, due to his new contract. If Cincinnati prioritizes keeping Higgins and extending younger talent, then they might just have to let go of Hendrickson. Sorry if I got tongue-tied twisting all the names with the H's there. But he's still got skills. He's still a great player. His production has not fallen off. Is he the long-term answer for the Lions? No. Is he a 1 to 2, maybe 3-year answer for the Lions? I would say yes. And if you can get him for anywhere near the 5th, even if it's a 3rd, I would probably take the guy because, you know what? I think the realistic opportunity to get a 3rd-round pick to be here 3 to 4 years is pretty limited, especially at this player's abilities levels. So if you feel like that 3rd-round pick was going to give you 4 years and you got 2 to 3 with Hendrickson, I'd say that's probably a wash there. All right, now the last one is going to be a tough one because it's an interdivisional one, and that's Rashawn Gary of the Green Bay Packers. Now, before you say, man, teams don't trade in division, look at recent years. Teams are doing it more and more, and it's not just in the NFC North. It's across the NFL. General managers aren't as gun-shy of doing that as they once were. His cap hit for next year, 2025, is going to be $30 million. He is 28. The suggested compensation of Green Bay is a 4th-round pick. Now, Gary has been one of the Packers' best defensive players, but the Green Bay might soon face another tough roster decision. With young stars like Christian Watson, Jaden Reed eventually needing extensions, plus Luke Van Ness waiting in the wings to be the pass rusher to replace Gary, Packers might need some cap relief. How the Lions would Scooby-Doo it as far as the cap space, I leave that to you guys to debate. And that's something that Brad Holmes in the front office would have to come up with. But about all these options, let me ask you, Duke Crew, who's a why, who's a no? Put their name and yes or no in the comment section. Again, if it's me, I'm going for Trey Hendrickson from the Cincinnati Bengals. One, I don't think the cost is going to be that high because they're trying to free up money. They're in a bad situation. Anytime you can get a seller who needs to sell, that's going to help the buyer. The other thing that we'll probably have to factor in is Hendrickson, amongst others. You know, if a lot of these guys, you're going to have multiple people trying to acquire them, multiple different teams, that could potentially push the trade price up. Remember a couple seasons ago when we talked about on the show, you got inside information. I think it was like 2 weeks before it became public knowledge that Montez Sweat was a trade option for the Washington Commanders. I was given the information it was going to take like a 3rd and a 5th to get him. He ended up going for a 2nd. So that tells me multiple teams tried to get the guy and it pushed the price up. All these guys are suggested compensation packages. Obviously, until a deal's done, we never really know what the compensation to acquire them would be. Hendrickson, I think, would be number 1 on my list. Again, I think you can keep your 1st, your 2nd, your 3rd, or at least probably 1st and 2nd would be fair. Get him, beef up that line, and now you can still add somebody in the 1st and 2nd round, maybe even do some trades or whatever to trade up if you needed to, if you thought there was really that guy out there. But what say you, Duke Crew, to all these different options? Do you like them? Do you hate them? Is there anyone you feel we should go after over another one? Do you think we should just be all in on Myles Garrett? or, whoever else. Let me know in the comments section, and let's head over to you guys. I probably babbled on too long with that topic, but let me scroll to the top of the screen. I am moving as quick as I can. All right, Moon Scar Blade, good morning, Duke Crew, starting lineup. Back at you, my friend. Hookadoo, good morning, Duke Crew. Oh, yeah, I'll go with that. 5 fingers ready. You have to love the offseason. Anything is possible, and personally, I enjoy the speculation of ideas. Me too, man, because anything is possible. It's almost like I don't really play fantasy football, but, kind of the offseason leading the free agency and trades in the draft, it's kind of like that. Everybody gets to think about, man, what if we got him there? So I get what you're saying. Just greetings and salutations, Duke Crew gang. What about Mac? I'd be okay with signing him to a 1-year deal if he's not going to retire. He's a free agent. Do we feel like he has anything left at this point? He's probably got some, as long as you're mindful of his snap count. I think him and Zadarius Smith, if you were to rotate them, maybe keep him to like 20 snaps or under a game, so you get 40 snaps total out of them, plus whatever rookie you're probably going to bring into the first or second round. That's probably not too bad. And then you can rotate Aiden too, so you're not overly burdening him. Darcy, 5 Finger Freddy's, it's kind of like the time leading into Christmas as a kid. We want things, and now we're just wondering what we will get. 100%. I agree with that. Very much like Christmas. Henry Moore, good morning, Coach Dan of the Duke Crew. Exclamation point, what a day. What a podcast. Thank you for that. What a time to be a Lions fan. Go Lions. Woo! And back at you, Moonscar. To those of us in Southwest Michigan, roads were a sheet of ice this morning. Drive safe. Moonscar Blade of Steel is marked safe at work. Hey, hopefully you had a good, safe drive to work. I'm not looking forward to driving over to get my morning Mountain Dew. We'll put it that way. Quitting, greetings, salutations, y'all. Look, y'all, we close to getting that Super Bowl. Just need a bit more of that D and some luck. Everyone needs luck to get their way. Yeah, to go their way 100%. To any team, any sport, you get in the playoffs and you advance far enough, you are going to need some things to go your way, some luck for sure. Henry Moore, I don't care who they get, exclamation point, as long as they bring us a trip to the Super Bowl. One pride, go Lions, 100% there. I don't care how you Scooby do it, how you make it work, just get us to the promised land. Man Bear, what up, do what up to you too? And all I want for Christmas is a trip to the Super Bowl, exclamation points. Oh yeah, I concur with that. Moonscar, let's see, Sosimo, Moonscar Blade, I heard your area got a ice storm, be safe. Yeah, I did. I haven't been outside yet, but from all reports, I know everything around here is closed as far as schools, and I'm sure there are some businesses closed as well. Voltron Force, Myles Garrett talked to the Free Press, Detroit Free Press yesterday. I think he wants out of Brownsville badly. I think so too. I think he did mention in this story, sorry I didn't mention this in the 5 headlines, that he's not really worried about some big mega contract. He's more worried about winning a championship or a Super Bowl at this point. That seems to be his motivation. Robert, greetings, salutations, Dan and crew. One and all, and everyone out in YouTube land. Back at you, Robert. Hopefully it's a great start to your day. Brent, good morning, Duke Crew. My new roommate, quote Teddy, says solidify the edge and opposite Hutch. Oh, yeah, I'll go with that, Brent. And yes, I'd say if you can take care of the edge, get more production out of it as far as pressures. I think the Lions' edges, opposite Hutch, do a pretty good job in run defense. It's just not so much about getting production, getting to the quarterback. Pat, in your opinion, Holmes will make some moves, but they will not be home runs. He's going to shop in the discount row for options, injured players or older ones. Yeah, and most of the guys on the list we provided would kind of fit that thinking. Steve, greetings, salutations to one and all, exclamation point. Big shout out to the Duke Crew for making this the best podcast. You guys rock. Can we get a woo for the crew? 1, 2, 3. Let's give the Duke Crew a woo crew. And will you go? Mike the Ring Gunny, howdy Dan and Duke Crew. Woo, woo, woo. Back at you, Gunny. Dave, shout out to Coach Dan. Thanks, man. I seen the news story about your 400th win online yesterday. Congrats, Coach. Thanks, man. Been a long time coming, but thankful to have worked with a lot of good kids, a lot of good coaches, and it led a lot of great schools. Let's pray that Hutch returns to the same form and his injury never affects him again. Yeah. I think, given the type of injury, the fact that it was a clean break, etc., I'm not anticipating any kind of long-term ramifications, but, we'll wait and see optimistically. Mike the Ring Gunny, congratulations, 400. Woo! Thank you for that, Gunny. Big Eddie, greetings, sanitation. Moonscar, Blade, amen to that. My biggest fear for this team is some of the injured guys take a while to heal or aren't quite the same. Yeah, I think mostly injuries shouldn't be big hindrances, but everybody, to your point, does recover differently. The only way to know really for sure is to wait and see what happens. Marcus, good morning, Dan and Duke Crew, exclamation point. Trey Hendrickson makes the most sense because we don't have to give up the farm. Either way, I trust Brad. I'm with you there, Marcus. I think he would be probably the most ideal pick in my mind. Him, still draft an edge, maybe sign one more guy in free agency, and that would be not a bad rotation. Dale, greatest sanitation, everyone. I believe Trey Hendrickson would be a great to get, cheaper than Garrett or Crosby, but if Garrett took a pay cut to a friendly deal, then grab him. Yeah, if we don't have to give up multiple first-round picks, that would help, in my opinion, with Garrett. But Trey Hendrickson, yeah, I'd be way okay with that. Hookadoo, that's my thoughts, Moonscar. Look at Houston. He wasn't the same after his broken ankle. Yeah, the one thing I would say with Houston, and correct me if I'm wrong here, he broke his lower leg and the ankle, and I just don't think his bend was quite the same for a while. I think that slowed him down exponentially. Trey, what's good, all question mark? We aren't far off from the big game. I think we all understand that. Just add depth and a little bit more punch to the team. I think so. I think you keep growing, keep developing players. I'm not a fan of going all your chips into the middle of the table for one guy. Although Myles Garrett, man, if you're going to do it for somebody, he might not be a bad one to go for. France, good morning. People are talking about Kupp to the Lions. I just think he's hurt too often. Thoughts? Kind of my thought, too. It's no disrespect for Cooper Kupp. He's probably going to end up in the Hall of Fame, but how much can you rely on him being out there? Of course, with that being said, we took the same risk on Tim Patrick. The difference is you didn't really have to give up anything to get Tim Patrick. So, I guess what's the asking price for Cooper Kupp? If it's something low, then maybe do try it. Detroit D, greetings, sanitation, everyone. Back at you. Stephanie, good morning, boys. Exclamation point. Stay off the roads, people, unless you have to head out, please. Yeah, I get it, especially in your line of work. You're probably dealing with that a lot today. Up North Line, greetings, salutations, fellow Lions fans. Hope you and the missus are feeling better today, Dan. Let's go, Lions. Thank you for that. Yeah, I think she's starting to feel better, but man, you can definitely hear when she gets on that coughing spree. Trumps. Woo! Good morning, Duke Crew. I'm heading out. I'm hearing about threads on the Super Bowl from Iran. Anyone else hearing about threats on the Super Bowl from Iran? Anyone else? I have not heard that. And sorry I beat up that comment. Yeah, I not that I'm aware, but if there's something out there, I guess I'll look into it later today. North Line, go away, Trump. Okay. Dale, Hookadoo. Houston and Aiden are two different types of mindsets. Yeah, Aiden is a no-holds-barred type, and Houston is more or less finesse type of player. I would agree with that. That's why, in my opinion, Dale, the Lions coaching staff, his rookie year and then last year had some issues with him because, he wasn't great in setting the edge and run defense. Getting to the quarterback, not a problem, but being a complete end was not exactly in his wheelhouse. Hookadoo, very true, Dale. Lions Talk Live for the first time ever. Maybe people want to come out and play for the Lions. I think you are right with that. Maybe the Lions ought to hold a reverse auction. Best discount spot wins. I'll go with that. U of M. Yeah, I did see the U of M's basketball team beat Oregon yesterday, so I'm thinking that's a pretty good win for them. Ken, go away up North Line. Fair enough. Let's see, up North Line, Lions Talk fan. I like that idea. Trey, back at you. The Central Scrutinizer, good morning, Pride, and same to you. Dunk Kong, Super Bowl or bust. I like the way you're thinking. Trumps, thank you, Ken. Hey, thank you both. Let's see. Detroit DJ, greetings, salutations, Duke Crew. Same to you. John, greetings, salutations, Dan, the world famous Duke Crew. Everybody loves to be a part of the Duke Crew. We love having the Duke Crew around here. Byron, good morning, Dan and crew. Same to you, my friend. Stay warm, stay safe. Duncan, my prediction is Brad doesn't go after a huge splash yet again. Exclamation point. Means no Garrett or Crosby stuff. Yes, I think we'd all agree. Probably Trey Hendrickson or some of the other guys on the list seem like more ideal Brad Holmes type moves, or at least historically speaking. It would be, to your point, Don Kong, is something outside of his norm to go for one of the big name guys. Don Kong, I think other teams that Garrett will approve will offer just too much. Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's going to be a bidding war for him or any people on the list. Does somebody just outbid us? Yes. And I know, whatever it was 2 seasons ago when I brought up that the Lions had talked to Washington about Sweat, I just think we got outbid. And I know Brad Holmes kind of mentioned it. He wasn't specific what the teams were, but he did kind of mention he talked to Washington, talked to, I forget the guy's name now. He was in Carolina. Now he's in New York with the Giants. Burns. And I want to say there was somebody from Jacksonville, maybe Allen, I think it was, that he talked to. Just at the end of the day, Brad Holmes has a set price he's willing to give. If there's a bidding war for a player, he's not going to say, man, I just got to have that guy. He doesn't do that emotional investing. Keith, good morning and greetings, salutations to you and everyone. Same to you. Trim Reaper, what up, coach and crew? Woo! Back at you. Dale, hit that like button so Dan can give you a Sheila. Woo! You want a Sheila Woo? I'll give you a Sheila Woo. 1, 2, 3. And there you go. Up North Line, Duncan, I agree. I am just afraid it will be the Commanders or Bears that get them. You know what? If you give up that haul, though, here's what I would say up north. That also means they have less ability to bring in younger players. So that that's the other side of it. Jason, as long as these moves get us to the promised land, 100% with that. Trump, stay healthy, draft a good defensive end, and the rest, whatever they want. Okay, I'll go with that. Coach Rock, good morning, all. Getting snow where I'm at. Take that over freezing rain, so be careful out there. Yeah, I don't have to go far to get this the morning Mountain Dew, but I'm wondering what the roads will be like. Doug Kong, up North Line, don't sweat it, bro. We are almost guaranteed to have better health luck next year. Brad will do a great job this way. I think so. David should get Hendrickson. I'm with that. Ken, good morning, Duke Crew. Same to you. George, good morning, Coach and Duke Crew. I don't them. All right, I don't them. All right, fair enough. Michael, absolutely not. Use the draft first. 2 excellent edges at Ohio State, and then Texas A&M edge in the draft. Yeah, there's some good edges out there for sure. Facts in 60 seconds don't make sense. Brad Holmes will spend the money on Garrett instead of paying his own in-house players. And to your point, 60 seconds, that does seem like the Lions, Brad Holmes' way. We'll take care of our own guys first before we think about somebody else. Although, with that said, I do think they could look at one of those guys suggested to bring on in because they're not going to be over the top pricey. Trumps, I don't want any old has-beens. Just draft what we need. Okay, Keith. If we make no moves, we are adding someone. Hutch and other injured. We are still Super Bowl bound, 13-4. Woo! I'm down with that, Keith. Big D, Greenlaw is a beast. He is, man. It would be a nice get. Lauren, good morning, everyone. Same to you. Michael, fix and keep our guys first. D-line and offensive lines. I love building through the lines. Moonscar, wiser move is PR. Okay. Trump's, good Lord, no injured players. Hey, I can't make any promises, man. Don Kong. Packers, Josh Jacobs has the entire wide receiver corps upset. I must have missed something with him, so we'll have to see what happens. Burns, draft O-line, receiver depth, and linebacker depth. Get corner and O-line in free agency, okay? Brian Greenlaw would be a good fit. Yeah, I think most of us would be happy if we got someone like him. Up north line, watch the Packers sign Adams thinking he still has it. Well, could be. George, I don't think they will go out and give up high draft capital for 30-year-old edge rushers. That's kind of what I'm thinking. If you go after anyone, then go make a trade for Micah Parsons since he's still young. Okay, we'll consider that. Woodscar, wiser move than possibly cost less in draft capital and definitely financially is to package picks and move up to get a rookie. If you believe his skills are good enough to be effective, yeah, maybe we make a move in the draft day to move on up. Duncan, Brad will inquire about all the splashes, but nothing will get done on our end. Yeah, probably spot on with that. He'll make phone calls. He'll knock on doors. He'll talk to people. At the end of the day, if the cost is too high, he's not going to do it. Hetman, morning, Dan and crew. What about Khalil Mack? I think could he be someone they potentially look to bring in? Absolutely. But what are they going to do are they going to go over the top to sign him? Probably not. Trump's move up, draft best defensive end. Maybe they do. Up north, re-sign Zettler, move Mahogany to starting guard. I like that. Make Manu swing tackle. Yes, indeed. I'm on board with that. Move defensive line through trade and draft. Get healthy. Super Bowl 26. I would love that. Nothing more. Keith, but if we already Super Bowl bound, go after Garrett and draft Green, then one of Michigan D players in the second round, then we are really Super Bowl bound. And then 14-3, 15-2. I'll go with that. Let's see. Byron, if we can't get Myles, let's go see about Max. Maybe they do. And if that story the suggested trade value for Max Crosby is what it was suggested, I would say yes in a heartbeat. Jim, I would trade a 2 and 3 to get one of the best edge rushers in the draft. Yeah, I wonder if they could move on up to try to get somebody. I don't know about that. I mean, we'll have to wait and see what shakes out. Big D, Hendrickson is my wish. I like the way you're wishing. Jim, Trey from the Bengals is not young. No, he's 31. And maybe, I don't know when his birthday is, but he could be 32 by the time the season starts, for all I know. George Gablin, we still struggling for decades. Hey, we're struggling with 15 wins, though. I got to love that part. Up North Line, no, Bosa always hurt. Yeah, the last few years, he's not on the field much, is he? Marcus, no on Bosa. Agreed, Bosa always hurt, says George. Don, Milton Williams, defensive tackle for Philly, only 25, and trade for Hendrickson would be a home run. If you could pull off those two moves, man, I think we all as Lions fans would be pretty dang happy. John, Dan, love your content, and the world-famous Duke Crew makes this the best Lions podcast. Keep up the good work. Love it. Hey, thanks for that, John. Love having you be here. Trump's Myles would be on it by game 3. Okay. IR. Gotcha. All right, fair enough. Marcus, no on Jeffrey Richard Simmons. Okay, Richard Simmons. See, David, Bosa, yes. Cheap deal, Simmons, yes. All right. Keith, Hendrickson sounds good or definitely Max. If not getting Garrett, it's great as Lions fans. We can talk this away in the offseason. Great having winning teams, Super Bowl bound. Woo! I'm down with that. Don, Bosa fits a Brad Holmes type of guy. Guy is always hurt. Yeah, you notice that too, huh? Marcus, no on Crosby. Up north, if that is all they want for Crosby, then yes. Yeah, I struggle to think it would be only that amount for him, but that's what they had in the article, so that's what I'm going to go with. James, good morning, Dan and Duke Crew, back at you. Before we get anyone in Allen Park, let's try to re-sign our own players first. Yeah, I think you're spot on with that, James. I think Brad Holmes in the front office will probably try to, whoever they want to bring back, I think they're going to try to make those moves first. George Crosby, yes. If we can get away with giving up those draft picks. Yeah, if it's anywhere near that deal, I'd probably be all for it. Although, let's also remember with Crosby, he's already had, I want to say 4 or 5 surgeries on his body while he's been in the NFL. So we talk about injured players. We talk about Brad Holmes. Crosby does kind of fit that to a certain extent. Vincent E., good morning all. Back at you. Marcus, I would rather have Hendrickson. There you go. Moonscar, I think that's a yes for those picks. Yeah, I'm with you there. Don, injuries are part of the game. Exclamation point. But I'm out on guys like Davenport, mostly Bosa, that walk in the door hurt. Correct. Yeah, they're not even healthy when they get here. Theo, Hendrickson led the NFL in sacks with 17.5. Yes, he did. George, Hendrickson is old, will be hurt. Maybe. Up North Line, a percentage for the guy who leads the league in sacks. I do not see that happening. Okay, I'll go with that. Let's see. Vincent E., Hendrickson has a motor that doesn't quit. That might be true. James, I hope we get to keep Zadarius Smith and DJ Reader for at least 2 more years if the money is there for them. Yeah, I think they are both under contract next year. After that, we'd have to wait and see. Marcus Crosby is on the decline and doesn't fit our system. Okay. Theo, he's 31. Myles Garrett will be 30 by the time the season starts next. Correct. Vincent E., Crosby will retire a Raider. Might be true. Marcus, Zadarius Smith is better than Crosby, all right? Theo, get Hendrickson, and we will still have most of our draft picks. Win-win. That's where I'm at with it. Keith, Smith isn't better than Crosby, in your opinion? Okay. Marcus, Gary, no too, all right? King Joffrey, Myles Garrett turns 30 December 2025. All right, thank you for that. I did not know that part. Marcus, Zadarius Smith had a better season than Crosby? Okay. I know Crosby battled some injuries this year. Moneybags 11, we need someone impactful. I'll go with that. Keith, no on Gary. Byron, I still want Myles, Trey, and Max, depending on asking price. Okay. Tugs, let's go, guys. I see almost 300 in the chat and only 70 likes. Let's hit that like button. Go Lions. Yeah, if you guys can, help us get to 300, 400, or whatever in the likes buttons. You know what I'm talking about. One God, greetings, salutations, Duke Crew. Bite the knee off the sub button and pancake that like button. Woo! Thank you for that. Thank you very much. Derek, good morning, coach and crew. We all know Brad doesn't buy the shiniest toys off the top shelf. I just don't see him going for Garrett, Crosby, or Hendrickson. Okay, maybe he doesn't. Mark, I think Hendrickson is a great fit. He is just behind Garrett, in most of the categories and still has the desire to motor and to make a difference. Okay, I think you're right with that. Chuck E. Cheese morning coach and crew, back at you. Chuck, greetings from Pamela, fellow kneecap biters, new to the channel and love it. Hey, thanks for being here. Hope you enjoy it. And welcome to the show, my friend. Chuck E. Cheese, Hendrickson, and Reeder played good together. They did. And you know what? I don't think it would take much to get Hendrickson. I mean, not that you wouldn't have to give up some stuff, but sort of like the article pointed out, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of a 4th or 5th. I doubt if you would need to spend more than that. Famous RW, greetings, salutations, coach and crew, back at you. Feels like it's been a minute since I've seen you. Kurt Steele, Cup is a walking injury. You aren't wrong, my friend. Not wrong at all. Brent, agreed, Kurt, no way. Myles Margarita, salutations, coach and crew. Same to you. Myles Marker, good morning. Hookadoo, Chuck Lundgren, there we go. Hookadoo, good morning, Myles Margaret and Kurt Steele. Central Scrutinizer, the Lions don't need offensive players for the most part. So get a game wrecker, run stopper, and Brad and Dan to have to trust them. Good morning, says Kurt Steele to Hookadoo. Black J.R. Jones, let's build up the defense and maybe a few offensive players. Yeah, I could see maybe adding some depth late in the draft. Trump's draft our own Myles Garrett. That would be best, wouldn't it? Chuck E. Cheese Garrett is a steal at $19 million right now. Yeah, he did come out and say getting a new contract, the big deal, isn't really a priority for him right now. Myles Marker, Lauren Van Etch, caught up on your pods. Well done. Yeah, well, check them out, my friends. Silver, hello, coach. Always listening here. Good to see you, Silver. Chuck E. Cheese, I would give up 2 firsts for Garrett. Wouldn't even think twice. All right. No, you can't. You can do it, says Trump. Chuck, don't worry about the offseason anymore. Thanks, Brad. Oh, yeah, it's nice to have a little bit of difference here. Paperback fan, greetings, salutations, Duke crew. Have a great day. Same to you, my friend. Myles Mark, good morning. Brent DeWitt, there you go. All right, guys, I'm going to go and get out of here, make the trek and pilgrimage over to get the morning Mountain Dew on the sheet of ice. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. Also, if you would be so kind, before checking on out, hit that subscribe button, the like button, the copy button, all the buttons. Hit the button for the button on the buttons. If there is breaking news later today, I'll get it over to you as quick as possible. Otherwise, take care, stay warm, be a good human being, do something kind for somebody you don't know. See you guys all in the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody.
Happy trails to you until we meet again.